How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler talk about Blade Runner Black Lotus Season 1. This is the animated series from Adult Swim and Crunchyroll. Now, in the past, I did a full season spoiler-free review, as well as individual episode reviews for every episode of this season, and if you guys want to see those, I'll put a playlist up at the end. But that being said, there's a few things I really didn't get to, and a few kind of spoilery thoughts and wonderings about a few things that happened in the show. So I wanted to make a looser, chatty style video and just kind of talk about a few things that I wonder about, you know? And if there's anything I didn't cover that you want to talk about, or something that I did cover that you have a different thought on, feel free to let me know, you know, anything you want to talk about of this show. Let me know in the comments. But I guess first off, the logical place to go is the big plot twist and what I got right and wrong. One of the big questions was, who was Elle's boyfriend in the pool scene at the beginning? And I knew right away. You know, he is a little weird, and plus, who would have access to, you know, Elle's memories that didn't work pretty high up at the replicant factory? I knew it would be Niander Wallace Jr. I had a slight thought that it might be Senior because the pool looked cleaner and newer, and I thought maybe this was way back in time, but it wasn't, and I was pretty sure it would be Junior. But that being said, why is the pool clean in her memory when she wakes up later in the same spot, which couldn't have been back to back because the pool's dirty in the future and it was clean in the memory? Was that just, you know, them trying to give her a happier past? Like, I know the Memory Maker gave her memories of clean LA to make her happy, which, by the way, a good reason for why Elle's the way she is. You know, she's happy and bubbly because, you know, she was given as much happy memories as possible. So I do like that explanation. But was the pool being clean just them altering her mind? Or did this take place a long time ago, although I don't know how that would fit into the timeline? So that is something I wondered about. The other big thing, Joseph's backstory. He's up there in his apartment. It's a very close replica to Deckard's apartment, and he's mopey and clearly got a dark past. I knew pretty quick he'd be a Blade Runner. I mean, this is a Blade Runner show. You do need more Blade Runners in it. So, yeah, I guessed relatively early on, Joseph was probably a former Blade Runner, but it doesn't tell us that till quite a few episodes in, and that's one of the twists that I thought was a little obvious. The one thing I didn't get, though, with Joseph was that he would be working for Niander Wallace Jr. the whole time. That twist did come out of the blue, especially because even though he was working for him, Joseph wasn't really trying too hard, you know. He did want to go off-world, he did want to, you know, have what he signed up for, but every turn, Joseph was like, hey, Elle, you sure you want to do this? I don't think you want to do this. And he's trying to push her away. So yeah, he was working for Niander Wallace Jr., but he wasn't just blindly doing whatever he said. So yeah, that did make that twist a lot harder to predict. So yeah, I didn't guess that he'd be working for him. And then it's kind of, you know, he did give Elle a place to stay. He did open the data pad, but he really, you know, didn't force her to go kill Niander Wallace Sr. or anything like that. Another thing that I didn't see coming, but was really a great idea, Water Lily. The idea that, hey, we can make more L's, you know, so let's take one, let's make the next model. And Water Lily was a really cool character, especially it's still Jessica Henwick, and seeing her play this dark version of herself, especially when the normal one is so light and bubbly, that was really cool, and it does leave the door open for, if we do get further seasons, we could see other, you know, other versions of Elle maybe. That might be interesting, you know, do a pink one, an orchid, or a yellow one, a sunflower, you know, a red one, a rose, you know. You could see a whole bunch of different L's in the future, and I find that's interesting. In the Blade Runner comics, there was actually a Blade Runner who was a replicant, and they had made multiple copies of this Blade Runner so that when you killed one, the Blade Runner would still come back. And I thought that was a clever reinventing of this concept, because if you make one, you know, if you still have the right code, you can just make as many clones of these people as you want to. So I'm wondering if we'll see, if we get a season 2, if we'll see another alternate version of L, or maybe even a whole team, you know. Imagine a whole show where you're fighting different weird versions of yourself. Speaking of L, though, I do want to say, with her name, they're filling out the alphabet in this show, which I thought was kind of a fun, weird goal. In the Blade Runner 2049 movie, I believe Ryan Gosling, his character is K, and that's, you know, a letter of the alphabet. So we get L, who's L, we get Joseph, who they call J, and then we get the character Dr. M. So J, K, L, and M. We've, you know, filled up 4 letters of the alphabet, and I'd imagine with further seasons we'd do more. There's also something with L's name that I don't think I've seen too many people talk about. When I first started talking about the show, I didn't know the character's name, so I read them from the credits. So I started calling her Ellie because her name is spelled E-L-L-E, you know, so I thought that's how it'd be pronounced, and it took me a while to get it right. But one of the things people don't talk about is sort of the irony there, and what this means Niander Wallace Jr. was doing. E-L-L-E, pronounced L, is actually the French word for she. So it's really just Niander Wallace not really caring about his creation, you know. He didn't give it a real name, it's just like, oh yeah, she, you know. So he's really kind of brushing her off and not caring about her. At least that's what I think they're going for. It also is kind of a reference to another movie about AI called Her, you know, so just, you know, keeping it to a pronoun, you know. So I thought that was kind of interesting that, you know, it's almost like he didn't name her. Anyway, another thing that I haven't, maybe other people are talking about this, but is Marlowe a replicant? You know, we saw him in the past, and he looked relatively similar to when he did in the future. You know, Joseph clearly aged, but Marlowe didn't. Now, I know some replicants can age, but I'd imagine there'd be various different types of replicants, and some would and some wouldn't. But, you know, the fact that he looked exactly the same, the fact that he was so powerful, and the fact that there are a lot of replicant Blade Runners, Harrison Ford, in the original, a lot of people suspected, but the movie never outright confirms it. And then I believe Ryan Gosling in 2049 knew he was a replicant. So I think that Marlowe might be somewhere in the middle, a more powerful replicant that still doesn't know he's a replicant, but is definitely under more control than Harrison Ford was. I'm kind of wondering if Marlowe was a replicant, but he's dead now, and no one will probably answer that unless he shows back up in season 2. Hey, they printed another Marlowe. Also with Marlowe and Joseph, you know, obviously a really cool final fight. But during that final fight, we jump back to the Joseph in the Past episode, and we're given the true ending of that episode, where Joseph didn't actually shoot the singer, it was Marlowe. And the thing is, you know, I get they wanted to give that fight more weight, and I get that they wanted Joseph to be a better guy, but when you have his plot being so much about guilt and remorse, it kind of does lessen the remorse when you find out he didn't actually do it. Now, someone in the comments did say that he figured Joseph didn't because there was no smoking gun. You know, he had his gun, but there's no smoke coming out of it. And I'm like, okay, I get that. But the angles got me. You know, Joseph had his gun here, was holding her, and you think, okay, he just shot her up in the head like that, or down lower in the guts or something. But Marlowe was over there. So Marlowe shot at the singer, but didn't kill Joseph. I'm wondering what angle he had to shoot from in order to not hit Joseph from where he was standing. That didn't quite make sense. Maybe there was some way, and maybe I just didn't get it. So yeah, it did feel like a little bit of a take back. You know, I felt that Joseph doing something he regretted and legitimately doing it, really did make, that remorseful aspect of his character make sense. But yeah, they wanted him to be a better person. They wanted Marlowe to be more of an antagonist. I just, I don't quite get how Marlowe shot just the singer and not Joseph, but maybe it's just me. Anyway, I kind of wonder where the characters will go in Season 2. You kind of left Elle at this place where she could really go anywhere or do anything. She's taking the speeder bike and going out into the desert. But I wonder, what's the rest of America look like, Like, we've seen pretty much just L.A., almost the entirety of the comics and the movies, almost everything takes place in the big city, and we know the desert outside of L.A., and they said that you're not supposed to be in the desert, like you're not allowed to go there, and if I had to guess, that would probably be radiation. In the Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep novel, they reference World War Terminus, and that's implied to cause massive radiation all over the planet. Now, the movies never reference this, but I could totally see this as being something that happened in the movies. So maybe most of America you can't go because of radiation, but there's got to be some places with greenery if people can breathe, unless they've invented an artificial, carbon dioxide, oxygen converting machine or something. There's got to be some plant life. That's where I really want to get to that Joseph and Elle dream sequence. Towards the end of the fight with Marlowe, he has kind of a fantasy of being on the grass with Elle, and I didn't really get that Joseph was supposed to be in love with Elle, but that's really what this scene made it look like. And I think it's kind of a reference to the original theatrical ending of the first movie. The studio mandated a happy ending, so in the theatrical version, Deckard and the replicant drive off into the sunset, and they actually recycle footage from The Shining, but there was greenery somewhere there. I don't know, maybe the greenery is supposed to be off-world. I could see there'd be some other planet that still has a good environment. But, I mean, if people can still breathe on Earth in any manner, there's got to be some sort of greenery or some sort of machine taking its place. So I don't know. I do like that really stark contrast when you do get to see the grass in Blade Runner. You're like, oh, wow, what is this place? So I thought the fantasy sequence was interesting. I'm just wondering where this is. Also, for Season 2... we still have Officer Davis wanting to root out some more evil. So she's still there, and she could really stir something up. If they made Season 2 more about her, that would make sense. Obviously, we probably won't have Joseph showing up again. So giving Officer Davis a bigger role, and maybe having her find something, and that's what incites Season 2, I could really see that happening. Officer Davis was a cool character, and I do wish she got more screen time. So maybe Season 2 she'll be a much bigger lead. And also we got Niander Wallace Jr. who's still around and would probably make for a good reoccurring villain. They foiled his plans this time, but he's still around. Obviously, we know from the movie they don't ever kill him. But, he's still, there, so he can still come up with crazy plots for Season 2. Maybe that's it. Season 2, Elle's found peace somewhere else in the world. Officer Davis drags her back after Niander Wallace plans something crazy, So they have to go back in and abandon the peace she found. I don't know. I do like that Elle was the one that blinded him. You saw that he was blind in the movie, and you knew that that would probably happen in the show, and I'm glad we got to see it, and I'm glad that, now when you see the movie, you get Elle's story reminded in the movie, and she had weight, and she affected what happened in the future, and now when you see Niander Wallace Jr. without his eyes, you're like, yeah, Elle did that, that was her last burst of revenge. Now, if she could bend the code a little bit, maybe it was just like, hey, you're not allowed to kill him, and she's like, I can wound him, though, and maybe that's it. But maybe, that'd be interesting if Elle, she was able to bend her code initially because of what Niander Wallace put in, but maybe that will allow her to bend it more, and maybe she can push past and fight this. I kind of wonder if we got a season 2. What if the season 2 took place after 2049 and we get to see a more grown-up version of Elle? And she may age at a slower rate because she's a replicant. I don't know. Again, each replicant could have its own set of rules. So maybe season 2 is Blade Runner 2050, and that would give her an actual chance to kill Niander Wallace. But anyway, I don't know. I hope we get a season 2. The ending left it at a point where if this was a one-off, I'd be okay with that. You know, it's a good enough standalone show. But I really do like the characters. I really would like to see Elle again. I hope we get a season 2. But if this is a one-shot, I think it was fun enough, you know. So I would really like to see more, or maybe an anthology of Blade Runner animations with reoccurring characters. That could be interesting as well. But anyway, I hope we get more Blade Runner animation. I love Blade Runner. I love animation. And overall, this came out really fun. So I'm hoping they get to do more. Alcon, the series that the company that owns Blade Runner right now, seems to really be wanting to do something with this IP. And I think we will get a live-action TV series, Blade Runner 2099, which would be 50 years after the last time we saw the Blade Runner universe. I'll definitely check out the live-action series if I can access it. You know, I'm not sure which service it will be on, but interested for that. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. If you guys want to see more, you can click there and see more. That should be my Blade Runner playlist. You can find my review for the first movie. You can find my review for Kurt Russell and Soldier, the tie-in movie, a lot of the comics, as well as individual episodes for this season of the show, and the season review overall. Anyway, I'll try to get to Blade Runner 2049 as well as the prequel shorts sometime soon, so there will be more Blade Runner eventually. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.